Welcome back, everyone. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Will Powe. We talked to him previously. He's back on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Colombia and living abroad and all the things that might go with that. Uh, Will, how you doing?
Oh, I am blessed and highly favored. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. How you guys doing? Looking lovely as always.
Doing wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. He was talking to me. I'm lovely.
Absolutely right.
Before we get started, would you like to give a quick introduction of yourself?
Oh, well, okay. Well, I've been living in Colombia for about 9 years, so been out here for a long time, living away from home. I visited Ecuador and a lot of other places in South America. I have a couple businesses in Colombia. I guess you could say semi-retired, if you want to call it that. But just enjoying living internationally. It's always, good meeting new people, new expats, seeing how this has grown from 2014 to seeing so many young people traveling. So just enjoying myself as a person that's traveling predominantly in South America.
The last time that we talked, you were living/visiting Ecuador for about 6 months, and you normally reside in Colombia. Can you explain that process?
Yeah, Ecuador is a beautiful, beautiful country, and it actually attaches right to Colombia. And so I was put in a position where I had to leave Colombia for like 48 hours. You had to go to another place of return to re-stamp your passport. And so I was trying to find somewhere that was close. I didn't want to go back to the States. That was close that I could go and hang out. I think it was like 2 months we had to go, 2 months before I could come back. And we found Salinas, Ecuador. And it was beautiful, beautiful people. It was just a very small, unique community. And I had an amazing time, had so much of a good time. I returned later in that same year and stayed, for an extended period. So it was just an amazing time. Like I said, met some extremely nice people like you and your lovely wife. And so it was an experience that I love repeating. Every year I come, every year.
Right. Okay. So if you don't mind telling everybody, why you decided to move to Colombia, or some of the reasons you decided to move to Colombia 9 years ago.
Oh man, back in those days, like I said, this was before the COVID. Again, we didn't really have a what I guess they call a passport community, which I just consider younger people that take advantage of the opportunity of traveling. We didn't have that going on back in 2014. So for me, it was just about experiencing something different. I was blessed to have retired in the States early. I wanted to maximize my income. And again, this was something that was close to home. I mean, Colombia is just about 2-3 hours from Miami, so it's very close to home. And so I said, well, let me go and take a look. And I actually came for a marriage tour. Believe it or not, I came to get married. And I ended up not getting married, still not married, but enjoyed like I said, enjoyed South America, enjoyed the people, the weather, a lot of economic advantages. And so here I am.
Nice. So to follow up on that, do you feel like when you came, that was obviously before the big internet trend of the passport bros and all that. How has that aspect of it changed since you've been there?
That's
and I know it's a lot. I know that's a lot.
No, it's a unique question. We actually, like I said, we do a lot of that in Colombia. We have an international boot camp, where we get men together and we actually talk about a lot of the things that you may not learn on the podcast, or you may not learn from a lot of the resources that we have to talk to people that have actually traveled. So that's a very, very, very good question. And, I like to say that it's been an evolution. When we came initially, people were shocked. The foreigners were shocked. They were happy to see us. They were greeting us with open arms. We were like the curious kids. A lot of us didn't speak Spanish. No one was looking to live abroad. In 2014, it was about going abroad maybe purchasing some property, maybe getting married, but it was about bringing whatever you did home. The United States was still the place, especially people with wealth, they wanted to live at, but they wanted to have uh, investments abroad. So no one was talking about living abroad in 2014. If you could stay for a month, 2 months, you were golden, back then. And you
Yeah.
fast forward to now, and you got Airbnb, you have a lot of entities that make it easier for people to go and stay for a month, 2 months. You have nomads, people that work from the States. So it has been a huge culture shock to the natives, let's say that, good and bad,
Yeah.
good and bad. It's
Yeah.
been a huge culture shock to the Americans because as the natives adjust to us, it changes the dynamic in which a lot of them come from. And so that's the difference
Yeah.
between being in a country with just one type of people and foreigners versus a country that has, like our country, Italian, Americans, Chinese. So you just have a lot of cultures in one country. Other
Yeah.
countries just have one culture, so they can adjust very
Yeah.
quickly. So it's a little different.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna come back to that subject a little later. So you said you've been there about 9 years. Do you have? Is your plan to remain longer, or you have plans to try other countries, or this is your indefinite home?
Oh man, you're good at this. This is not your first rodeo. You are good at this. Excellent question. I tell a lot of guys, especially my age, especially if you're single, if you're married, completely different conversation because, again, when you're married, you got to have more of a stable, somewhere to stable. When you're
Yeah.
single and you old, when you're both, flexibility is key. And so again, when you're in foreign countries, governments change, things change, our government changes, and so you have to be very flexible, especially when you're by yourself. And so I have never bought property in Colombia for that reason. Again, I love the culture, I love the people, I love the food, but I also love my independence and I love my ability to go wherever I want to go, when I want to go there. So I tell people, find your place that you like, and then from there, weigh your freedom. Because again, when you start purchasing things, you start getting married to foreigners, you start putting yourselves in situations where you're locked into a foreign country that's still not home. So you still want to have a little flexibility. And so that's different for everybody. But for me, I like being able to go to Ecuador for a couple of months. I go to Chile, Peru, Brazil without having to worry about even paying taxes in Colombia. I've never paid taxes in 9 years here because I'm just a pure, what they would call a pure visitor with a visa. Since I don't
Right.
own anything, I don't spend over. I think it's like 35,000 or something like that a year. They have a number that you have to spend over before they really start watching what you do, and I kind of stay under that radar for that flexibility.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good answer. Because a lot of times people will say like they might get kind of stuck in a place where, like you said, if they marry, and if you marry, you marry. That's on you.
Right, right,
But
absolutely,
they
absolutely.
they buy they buy a property, or they get so ingrained in that place that then it becomes difficult to leave when they either may need to leave or may want to just look somewhere else, go somewhere else. If you have a
Absolutely.
property, you want to sell it, that might be difficult because it ain't the same as the United States. You can't just sell
Right.
stuff the way that you think that you might be able to.
Absolutely.
And then you obviously have to deal with culture clashes and things change politically,
Very quickly.
culturally
Yep.
while you're there. You may
Absolutely.
want to leave and then you're stuck.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I appreciate your answer there. You're in Medellin, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, could you talk about the weather and the climate and the altitude in that part of Colombia? Because I think a lot of people don't necessarily know much about Colombia until they actually come and visit.
Oh man, like I said, this is not your first rodeo. Very good question. Very good question. One of the reasons why a lot of people pick Colombia is it's one of the few countries that have a multitude of big cities. And so most countries like Peru, you go to Peru, it's just Lima. That's it. Anything outside of Lima, and you're in a very small cultured vicinity. Doesn't mean you don't like the area, but you're going to lack a lot of the modern touristic things that you would in Colombia. Colombia has Medellin, it has Bogota, it has Cartagena, it has Barranquilla, and all of these are cities that are technically advanced, like you would say Miami. So that's
Right.
very rare in a South American country. Then you add weather difference. So if you take Bogota, where it's very cold, very cold climate, and you go to Cartagena, where it's right off the ocean, it stays at 85 and above year round. And so the country has a vast, almost like Ecuador a little bit, but it's different in terms of the landscape, And so when you look at Medellin, it's like right in the middle. They call it the city of eternal spring because you average about 70-degree weather year round. Year round, if it gets 75, they hot, and if it gets 68, they freeze. Well, for us, it's always beautiful. And then it rains, it has that light rain because it has water, all this greenery. So it's a very interesting changing climate. So for me, coming from Arizona, the desert, in Nevada, back home, not used to seeing rain at all, it was an adjustment. I'm used to being able to go out anytime, and here, like when it rains, you're like, oh my God. But they have a saying in Colombia, we not made to ship it. So they go out if it's pouring down, raining, or not, if they got to get business done. So, I tell people that's the important thing about travel. You have to find places where that weather and the culture fits you. Because if you come to Colombia and you don't like rain, if you come to Medellin as an example, and you don't like rain, you're going to be very frustrated with the visit. And that's a problem for a lot of single people that come here because they stuck in the hotel or they stuck in their Airbnb. If you don't have friends, if you don't have, somewhere to go, you just stuck in the house if it's raining. The climate is very key. Like I said, like I said, this is a place where you got to be good with yourself. You're going to spend a lot of time because Colombians are family oriented. They have a saying here: if you date a Colombian, you will only see her 6 times a month. That's it. That's in a serious relationship because Colombians, if she has kids, if she stays with her parents, which most Colombians do up into their 40s or 50s, where you rate on their scale, like I said, it's a family culture. So you behind the parents, you behind the kids. You may be number 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th in terms of what their commitment is to you, whether you're American, Colombian, they're just used to this. So in the States where you see your girlfriend or whatever you want to call her, as much time as you can. In Colombia, that's not the case. They work, they go to school, their parents don't cook. So you see them Friday, maybe Saturday, 2 or 3 times a month. That's in a serious relationship. So if you don't understand that and you come in here thinking that is something different, this is not going to be the place that you think it is, in terms of their culture.
Yeah. Yeah. As in terms of the weather, do you find that people come there not really prepared for the actual weather? Like if let's say someone's coming from like Arizona or Florida or Texas or something like that, they come there thinking, hey, I'm in South America. I'm going to be wearing shorts and t-shirt and tank top every day. Not thinking about the altitude, not thinking about how cool it is. Do you catch that?
Well, it's funny. It's funny. Again, Colombia is completely different than Ecuador, the Salims. What I mean by that is their culture. So in Medellin, you're not wearing shorts, a t-shirt. You can't dress like that in Medellin. Now, again, there's nobody going to come and tell you put a gun to your head. There's nobody going to say, but they're going to immediately know you're a tourist. Depending on what you're here for, you probably want to accomplish that goal, as you would in a beach town like Salinas, where that's a normal acquire. So one of the first things that Americans have problem with is the dress code. I'll give you an example. Back home, Jordan flip-flops would be considered fashionable wear if you had the right shorts and t-shirt to go with that. And you have guys that come out here wearing that, and the people in Colombia think of sandals as what you wear in the house. So anytime they see sandals on the street on a man, it automatically lets them know you're not from Colombia. So if you come in to meet women, then you automatically, that without you knowing, if you don't speak Spanish, that's a huge turnoff. T-shirts. If you don't have a collar on your shirt, again, they don't know anything about designer names. What they're looking at is the attire. They think gym shoes are for the gym. They don't understand that Jordans cost X amount, and this is considered a dress shoe in the States. To them, it means you're going to play basketball. So if you're wearing that and you're going around mature women, they're going to look at you as if you're immature. If you have a T-shirt on with no collar, you could be buff, built. They're going to look at you like you're going to fix something. You're going to do something that you would do in a T-shirt. Where back home, we're thinking that goes with jeans. So the biggest issue with people is understanding a Catholic dress code. Because again, their clothes may cost $2, but they have dress shoes, they have pants, you know what I mean? They have a shirt with a collar, no matter if it costs $2 for the whole outfit. That's usually the American men. Like I say, the women, you know, in a sundress, whatever they wear, it fits into the culture here because the climate, like now, it's 70 degrees. It was 70 this morning. So to you, it's going to feel great. You know what I mean? It's not going to feel cold. But the way we think of dressing in 70 degrees or 75 and the way they think of it, because for them, everything is going to a fashion thing. Even if they're going to the store as a lady, she going to have her hair done. It's going to take her an hour to go down the stairs to the store. That's just how Colombians are. And their men are the same way. He going to put on his little shoes. You know, he going to try to look as best as he can if he leaving that house. So that's something that we just don't live like that in the States. You know, we do stuff right quick. We're going to do this right quick and just throw this on right quick. You know, we have a different mindset on how we carry ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Now,
Go ahead.
I do have a question. Do Medellin have seasons like Salinas? You know, we are going to the rainy season now from November
in Cuenca,
to
where it's rainy season.
Salinas,
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't really rain in Salinas, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
first of all, so they don't think I'm over here drinking. That's my iced tea. So all I want them to see my little cup. See my little cup and be like, what they doing in Colombia? No, it's just straight, unsweetened iced tea.
Okay.
But
I got my water here.
No, we have two seasons.
Vodka.
We have a rainy season, and then we have what they consider a couple months where it just doesn't rain at all. But in terms of temperature fluctuation, it only fluctuates like about 10 degrees. And again, that's because of the greenery over here in the Caribbean, right next to you guys, because you're by the equator. But when you go away from you guys, everything is pretty much on a green basis, where the whole rest of the continent primarily is pretty much green. And so, yeah, they get a lot of rain. But other than that, they have a few months where it's no rain at all, and they love it. They love it.
Okay.
All right.
They love
it. Let's see here. Okay. So in Colombia in general, or in your travels, is the public transportation system, is it really modern, or does it need work, or, you know, how do you feel about it in comparison to other places you've been?
Again, excellent questions. Like I said, you guys are fabulous for your viewers, because they get a full round of content. Again, one of the things I would tell people about traveling, if you live in the States, is you have to learn patience. You know, the States is one of the few countries where we value time in a completely different way than the rest of the world. You know, especially going towards South America. So you have to have patience. In Medellin, specifically, it was built on apartments. So you have mostly apartment living in Medellin. So you got 300-400 people in a building, but you only got a two-way street outside because it wasn't designed for this huge influx of population. You know, it wasn't designed for 2 million people to come in 4 years. So what ends up happening is that, you know, they have these apartment building type living, and now you got thousands and thousands, almost like New York, you know, in terms of the boroughs and stuff like that. in a whole country. So it's very congested. I mean, you have to know your times of the day, uh, when to leave, so you're not waiting on an Uber for an hour, hour and a half, or stuck in traffic. Uh, so if you're looking for an efficient transportation situation and you're fresh from the States or you're from a small place like Salinas where you don't have that much of a population, you will go crazy in Medellin. Medellin this is Miami. This is Miami in Spanish. They have completely taken over this country. This is no longer the Colombia you saw on TV 3 years ago. This is basically America in Spanish. And so a lot of people get frustrated with the traffic. They get frustrated with the lines. They get frustrated with the way these people live because they, are here now. But yeah, that transportation, I would never ever say it is efficient at all. No, it is not. It is not. It is not. Uber, bus,
Okay.
taxi, none of that. None of that.
And that, and that's mainly because it just wasn't designed. It just wasn't designed for the population that's there.
Right. It wasn't designed for this influx of tourism. It definitely wasn't designed for people with no patience, that want to get somewhere like right now. And like I said, now you have really changed the expectations of the Colombian. Because before, nobody's it's tranquilo. It's tranquilo. There's no one cared how long it took to do anything 6 or 7 years ago. Now it is very important to be efficient. And so they're having to adjust.
Okay. So with the recent droughts in South America, and I know you had a little bit going on in Colombia. Were you guys experiencing the power outages as well?
No,
Okay.
what Colombia has done again, they were ahead of the curve in terms of this explosion in tourism. So in the beginning of this in 2014, Colombia was already in a position where they were. I don't like to use the term in bed, but they were very good friends with the United States. And so their infrastructure, which is a lot of reason why you have a lot of high-end people that move to Colombia, is because of the infrastructure. Again, when you tell people about relocating, one of the most important things is the country's infrastructure. So Colombia makes billions and billions of dollars without having any type of dealings with our government. It is just from tourism, from just pure tourism. And so they have invested in I don't want to say it, they want to make us comfortable. Whether you're American, any foreigner, it's not just Americans. Americans just primarily are the biggest piece. But when you're making more than other countries' DPA just in tourism, this is just people coming here and choosing to purchase property, coming here and choosing where, and it's just a timing thing. But no, Colombia's infrastructure is one of the best, I would say, in South America. So you're not going to have power, you're not going to have Wi-Fi, heavens no. Now, in some of the barrios, in some of the other parts of Medellin or Antioquia, we have other areas that are not in the major city, that are not in the major heart of where the Americans are. Oh, they it's bad when it rains every day. They don't have roofs on the top. They don't have doors. I mean, it is just amazing how these people are able to work together and maintain a culture in the conditions they live in.
Yeah.
It is just, it's unbearable. I don't even understand it. But they do it, and they do it with smiles and pride, and I don't think they would trade their lifestyle for an American lifestyle one day. But yeah, it's very different in the rural parts than it is in Medellin, actual Medellin.
Okay. So on that note of the infrastructure and Colombia being willing to try to invite investment and tourism, have you noticed a major change in the cost of living since you moved there in 2014?
Well, again, kudos to your questions. When we came in 2014, it was 2.8 to 1. And it was one of the best experiences I ever had of international travel. Again, the people were happy to see us. The cost of living for them, the people, wasn't high. And that's the most important thing about being a foreigner in another country, how much you change their cost of living. Because that's when the average person doesn't like you, the average citizen. You only become uh, you only become a caveat for the government. You're over there putting money into the government.
Mm.
But the person, you are changing their economics. You're raising the price of eggs, you're raising the price of milk because you're overspending. In 2015, Colombia hadn't seen that. They were just happy to see us get off the plane. And if you were Moreno, or a person of color, it was even better. As we went through COVID, and America decided to create work from home, and you started getting people with no experience traveling, they didn't really understand the culture, the etiquette, nor did they care. They came for a good time, and they had a completely different reason for traveling than what we had in 2014. Like I said, most of us came to find a wife, or most of us came to become an expat, which means to relocate. The new people came to be a nomad. Well, that 4 or 5 years deal has been toxic for the world, not only just Colombia, because it has changed our visa processes. It has changed the way we looked at it. Has changed how fast we can get Ubers, because in most countries they won't trade capitalism for their culture, and that's what you're asked to do when you have the American dollar, and you feel as though you want a better style of treatment than what they've gotten all their lives. You reach a boiling point.
Mm-hmm.
Medellin has reached that boiling point. We see signs all the time. Go home. We see signs all the time. They'll be in restaurants telling the young people, hey, there's no service. They don't care that the dollar is 4.4 because we have disrespected their culture, by making it about women and prostitution and drugs. And it's more to Colombia and it's more to Ecuador and all these other countries than what most people decide to sell. Most of them, they want to put out there that it's about women, or if you in another country, it's about drugs, and that's usually not what it's about. And Medellin has capitalized on, Pablo Escobar, and they've capitalized on a lot of negative things that have come back to bite the country. For us, not for those people, for the Americans. The experience is not the same. No, the experience not. And the dollar is at 4.4 now. So this is at one of the all-time highs. I mean, your dollar for dollar living in Colombia is insane right now. Even if you don't live here, if you just invest in it, if you just know somebody here and you put $1,000 a month into an account in Colombia, that's 4.4 million pesos. You cannot spend $1,000 in Colombia unless you were buying an apartment or buying furniture, buying stuff. Then it's very expensive because it's imported. But food, transportation, medical, it'd be impossible to spend $1,000. Well, the average person has $1,000. That's why you have so many people here. The cost of living. When you have a stable country and it's 4.4 steadily to the dollar, that makes it attractive.
Wow. So what about living expenses other than food and whatnot? So rents or, electricity, internet, stuff like that. Has that stuff really changed, or is it, is it about the same as when you got there?
Well, that's where people get in trouble. Again, it's the difference between a vacation and going to live somewhere. And with the Airbnb changing the rules, where now it's a month minimum stay, you can't come down and stay a weekend anymore. You got to stay a month if you're going to be in an apartment. They have raised the bar. So if you come in here and you say you stay for a month or two, and it's a couple, it's you two. Come in and stay for a month and find an Airbnb. It's $1,000 for that Airbnb. Well, I'm sorry, not $1,000. It's 3 mil pesos. So it's going to be in pesos. It's 3 mil pesos. 3 mil pesos a month is about average for a nice apartment. In US dollars, 3 mil is 700. So you paying 700. You're on the 20-something floor. You got a decent apartment, decent Wi-Fi, and everything's included. Your Wi-Fi, your electric, your water, all your bills are included when you rent in Colombia. So everything's included. When you buy, then you're paying separate bills for everything. That makes sense. When you rent, it's all in one. So you guys come here, you're paying $700. All your bills are included. That's going to be your most expensive expense is your rent. If you were to buy, your most expensive is going to be your furniture and the cost of the apartment. Like I said, it's going to be close to like Miami, depending on where you live. Very expensive because we're here. Like I said, we have destroyed the market just completely. So none of them can afford any of the stuff we stand in. It's basically American. Outside of that, you're not going to spend any money. The finest restaurants are not going to cost you more than $15. Groceries are going to be dirt cheap. You're not going to have a car. Everything is Uber. 99% of the Americans Uber here. So you're not going to have a car. It's not like it's illegal for people got a scooter or something like that. Mostly only Colombians take that risk. Everybody else just gets on the phone in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Normally, you got your Uber and where you got to go. You got to worry about parking. You don't have to worry about dealing with any of that. You're in and out. So the cost of living, I would say, out of everywhere I've traveled in South America, nothing comes close to Colombia. Number one, it's like monopoly money. Because Colombia's money is good nowhere but Colombia. So it's like you living in a monopoly game. Your money is worth such a high value. It's 4 times to what the next person's paying for every item. Every single item you getting it 4 times cheaper. So just that in itself is just insane. Like in Ecuador, the prices are cheaper, but it's US dollars. So you might be paying 80% less, sometimes 50% less than what you would pay in the US for that item, but it's in the US dollar. So that dollar can go anywhere back towards the US and spend. Colombians can't go anywhere. The peso only spends in Colombia. So if you invest here, you know that money's safe because it can't spend anywhere else. It can't go, like I said, it's like monopoly money. So dollar for dollar, if you like Latin culture, you have to like the Latin culture to stay in Medellin, to stay in Colombia. So if it's something you like, it's definitely worth visiting. It's getting more family orientated now. Like I said, they've had about enough of the single male traveler. They have just about done. So now we have more females. That was that last show I was doing with you guys about females traveling. We have more females, families coming to Medellin. So it's a different feel now than it was just 2 years ago when it was mostly men here. The wrong kind of men at that, I'll say.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're saying is that it's a different feel, but it's improving a little bit.
It should.
Yes, it's changing to more of a family, more orientated. You're seeing families in the Ubers, whether they be white families, black families, Asian families. You see in a lot of the areas that were male-dominated areas being family areas with a high police presence for the wrong Colombians not to go in there. So, you can see that they really trying to. I mean, they made enough money now. They made enough money off of that negative brand. And so now they can afford to change it over without hurting the amount of tourists that's coming.
All right. So looking back, right, when you first moved to Colombia, and of course, over 9 years, you've learned a lot. Is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew when you got there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God, absolutely. Coming from the States, we come with a wall up, very hard to trust. And, when I came, it wasn't a lot of people for me to get advice from, information from that I could relate to. So a lot of the advice and information I didn't take to heart because it wasn't my people telling me. You know what I mean? It wasn't, people like me that had experienced what I've experienced now. So if I had to go back, I think what I would do is, number one, I'd be a lot more humble. I would learn the culture first before I start making moves. Again, we think we know it all coming from the States. We think it's just only one thing missing, whatever that thing that we think, and that's going to just make it great. When it's usually the opposite. We don't know anything about that country. We don't know anything about how they do stuff. And I think if you just slow down a little bit and really learn the culture first, you'll have a much better time. There's just so many Americans that don't even speak Spanish as an example. I'll put that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of their Colombian friends now speak perfect English. Why? Because they lazy and they speak English with them, so they get smarter instead of them speaking Spanish so that they learn Spanish. Well, right then, if you don't speak, the less Spanish you speak, the less you're going to really enjoy that country. It's the same as back home. I said it's the same as speaking English. I tell people it's the same back home. If you don't speak English, the States is not, well, I mean, if you don't speak English or Spanish, let's say, if you don't speak any of them two languages, the States is pretty tough. You know? Mm-hmm. So if you go to another country, and just because you're around Americans, or just because somebody speaks English, you don't make it priority number one to be able to speak that language in which you live the best you can. It just changes your completely, the way you are receiving that country, because you don't really understand what you're doing. I would change that. I was just moving so fast and enjoying stuff. And like I said, they want to learn. So they speak in English and they getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And I'm enjoying that instead of me getting smarter in their culture. So that would be the first thing I would change is, I wouldn't be 9 years and not fluent in Spanish. That's just crazy to me.
Right. That's a struggle for us here in Ecuador, trying to learn Spanish and trying to find people to actually speak Spanish with. Mm-hmm. The issue is when you're trying to speak Spanish with people who don't speak any English, then you're stuck trying to translate what it is you're trying to say, and
yes,
you end up like it's a bad feedback loop, but.
Or you're running to someone and you're trying to speak Spanish to them, and then they know that you're having a hard time. Then they wind up just speaking English, and you're like, "Oh, that's not helping me."
Oh, exactly. It's no easy recipe to it. No easy recipe.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to ask about the visa. What type of visas do you need if you're deciding to move to Colombia?
You said what type of visas do you need?
Yes.
Okay, they have several visas out here. Number one, the easiest and the best visa they have is getting married. You get married to a Colombian, right off the bat, you're good to go. The next one is the investor visa, where you buy property, or you're a military retiree. These are sound visas where you can get citizenship. And that's the difference. Some visas give you citizenship. Some visas just allow you to stay past your 6 months. Once you get away from getting married or being retired with a pension or an investor visa, they have things like the nomad, where you just have to make X amount of dollars, have a job somewhere, and then you can stay for up to 1 year. You can do that every year. It's the cheapest visa. It's about $1,000 for that. And that's what about 70% of the people have. They just put a change where now you have to have an FBI background check for the nomad visa. So I don't know how that's going to affect a lot of people, in terms of not passing an FBI check, but you got a passport. But yeah, they are putting different, little tweaks in there because again, you got a lot of people traveling now. You got a lot of people coming here. So, but yeah, those are the main visas. Getting married, like I said, and outside of that is investing in Colombia. And their investments are based on the wage of income. So the minimum wage of income, they times that by 100, and then that's the amount you got to pay. So I think now it's about 300,000. In comparison to Ecuador is 40,000. So that tells you how Colombia has gotten spoiled, so to speak, with the Americans that's coming in. I can go to Ecuador, pay 40,000, and be right next door to Colombia with a full, have a full citizenship with 6 months to travel anywhere I want to, and then just come and stay in Colombia for 9 months. Stay my 6 months, then get a 3-month extension, then go to Ecuador for 40 grand. But if I want to stay here for the extra 3 months, because I'm getting 9 anyway as an American citizen, if I want to stay here for 3 months, a minimum of 300,000 US. Right. If I'm investing, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't bought it. I'm going, that's insane. Like I said, I love Colombia, but I don't love it enough to put $250,000 in here in a country that I do not understand what's going on. They can change any day, which they had a right to. because I wanted to come here and have 3 months, of I guess citizenship here. I can't vote. I wouldn't know what the heck I was voting on anyway. So again, that's just my preference. That's just my preference.
Right.
So jumping back to the cost of living, the rental prices, how do you feel like they compare to Ecuador?
Crazy. Ecuador, I had a much better experience, much better view in terms of looking at the Pacific Ocean. Again, international traveling is about you. What you want. You know what I mean? And so another person would be in Ecuador and say, "This is crazy. This sucks. It's just one street. When I go off this street, it sucks." For me, best restaurants, best food, best. I mean, like I say, every year I just want to go to that one street, and I'm good. I'm not trying to see no other part of Ecuador. I'm good. And so the price of that apartment I stayed in Colombia would be about $4,000 a month. Like I said, our rental prices for the way we like to live. Like I said, you can go in a barrio and you can pay $200, $300. But if you're trying to live like where I live, you're gonna pay about anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000 a month for rent, which is a lot of money for Colombia. You know what I'm saying? For what you're gonna get from the life of Colombia. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's an hour for Uber sometimes. It's raining. If it's a husband and wife, well, now that 15, 18, $2,000 is only $1,000 a piece. You got somebody to talk to. It's a different life. If you by yourself and you paying that, ain't no ocean out there. It's a different deal. So I would prefer Ecuador in terms of if it was about rental prices and the living expenses. I would prefer Ecuador. If it's about having things to do, multicultural, like I said, this is almost like living in Miami. You're going to run into a bunch of people your age, younger, it's cracking, it's popping, whether it's, Sunday football. You got Colombian Eagles fans, which, by the way, shout out to the Eagles for beating my Steelers. It won't happen again, but that's okay. We take it. 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 So, yeah, you got NFL fans out here, NBA fans. I mean, it's a Colombian. I'm talking about Colombia. So it's a nice feeling for that. But yeah, for rent, no, it's very overpriced to live where what they call the gringos live. Yeah, it's very overpriced.
Okay.
So what would you consider pros and cons of living in Colombia for an expat?
Again, I'm gonna switch it in between couples and singles. If I'm a couple, the pros are you got a lot of couples here. You have a lot of things to immerse yourself into. You can do stuff that the lady like to do, stuff the guy like to do, and have a full day just out, enjoy yourself. And like I said, just like being back home from that standpoint. So that's awesome. If you're single, same thing. It's a very health conscious country. So if they don't have a lot of fast food, they don't. Every Sunday, this whole city walks. They shut all the streets down, and everybody's walking with the dog, so they really are about health in Colombia. Total positive, free health at that. Like I said, you just walking in the street. They ain't about no gym. They have a lot of outdoor gyms where they're called when you use your body weight. They're all over Colombia.
We see those here.
You stop somewhere.
Yeah.
All over. You just stop somewhere. You got to wait for the bus and you decide you want to go up. It's just weird, but they are really in the health conscious. So that's a pro. Negative for a husband and wife, I would have to say, is trying to find a common ground. Again, in Medellin, you got people trying to start businesses. Like I said, it's not like Ecuador where you pretty much say, I'm retired. I'm going to, either live off my retirement money or I'm going to do it's a more passive income. Colombia, people want to start a restaurant. They have ideas like back home. So if you're not careful, the wife could be, chilling and you didn't find out, I want to start. You didn't got this huge master game plan. And she's like, what are we doing? We're in Colombia. Like, sit down. That's a huge problem. You know what I'm saying? Because there's just so much going on. But you're in Colombia where you're supposed to be sitting your butt down. You didn't come here to be moving and shaking. But you can get caught up in that. So that's very bad when you couples because both of y'all are on the same accord. When you single, the bad part is the distractions and the temptations. Again, Colombia has a very dark side that can get you in trouble in a heartbeat. And for some reason, these single people want to travel by themselves to places where nobody knows where they are. So when you're single and you go doing something you ain't supposed to be doing in an area where you're not supposed to be in a language you don't speak, it's not good. And that happens far too often in Medellin. Where in Ecuador, they would just talk about it. Here, no, it's going down. Every single night, somebody is they taking an L in Medellin because they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. And these people need that revenue. They need that money. So you ask for trouble, you're going to find it in Colombia real quick. So that's a bad. Children, family, stuff like that. Excellent school system. They make it very easy for Americans and other cultures to transition into their school system. Like I said, it's a Christian-based lifestyle. So these guys they have like 40 holidays a year, something like that. It's insane. Every other day is some kind of holiday. So for children, I would think it's a very nice place to introduce your child to another culture. Because again, they're going to have a lot of other cultures here. Very, very nice. For guys, again, that's a problem. In Colombia, women and children, they don't leave their parents' house until somebody can afford to take them out of there. So you could come here and meet a lady with a 17-year-old daughter or son. And you think, oh, she's going to graduate. So now we can live our life, live our dream.
No.
That child ain't going nowhere until somebody comes and marries that child. So that child will be right at home at 20, 21, 20. And most Americans aren't used to that. You know what I mean? She may live with her parents, and so may he if you're a girl or a female looking for a husband. And so for men, it's tough with families that are Colombian because of the Colombian value system. So you're not going to just separate them from their family just because y'all fell in love, if that makes sense. We're back home. That's exactly what we do. We fall in love, and then we go make our own life. That's not how it works in Colombia. So, some of the good and bad, I mean, it's a 50-50. And that's why I say you should travel. It's not this is not a sport where you just find one, like darts, where you just hit in one spot and that's it. Like you guys did, Salinas, Quentin, you have to be willing to do what they won't do is what I say. And they being the Americans. Yeah. Some Americans haven't left their own neighborhood, let alone their city, their state. When you travel, you've already made that leap. I don't believe anybody that doesn't have small children should put themselves in a time bubble and say, this is it. No, go explore. If you see one place you like, what about the next? What about the next? As long as you can, as long as your health, you can walk and move and get around and endure some of these challenges, let's just say that these countries have physically. As long as you can endure those, I say spend X amount of time, and each person knows what that is, in one place, and then move. And just open your mind to a completely new environment. You know what I mean? And that's what international travel is to me. That's what makes it sweet, is that we've already, like a baby who takes the first step, and it's like, oh man, this is easy. Next thing you know, they're walking. We've taken the biggest step, but a lot of people just stop, just sit down. They go, this is it. And you go, no, dude, just one place over is Salinas. They got a whole freaking ocean right there. Just one place over. So, that's just me. Like I say, it's pros and cons, but I love them both. I love the cons as well as the pros, which is why I travel.
How is the public and the private health care in Colombia? Because in Salinas, we have, Ecuadorian call it ISIS. Americans, Canadians, we call it IESS.
And that's the public, that's the government system.
Yeah. And it's kind of bankrupt. Yeah. And it's kind of bankrupt.
Colombia, as I was saying earlier, the infrastructure is amazing. And it's been built over decades with relationships with the United States. So this is way, before even the COVID came. So one of the biggest things and I think the same with Mexico as well, their cultures medically are very sound. And a lot of it is because of the climate, the way they eat, the exercising. So where in the States we have we have preventative. We just giving you a lot of medication. We giving you a lot of stuff. They actually have a lifestyle in which a lot of the illnesses we have, they don't even get. Now you take that and you add a lot of the expense that it costs for certain surgeries, certain medicines in the States when you start talking about health treatments and stuff like that. Colombia at that 4.4 becomes a lot more attractive, whether you're doing a hair transplant, whether you got leukemia, whether you're trying to get a certain drug. Now they have oxygen incubators. They have what is this? Where they shoot the stuff in your veins. It's called. You can get testosterone. You can get all kind of stuff. Just put vitamin D, vitamin B. Back home, our athletes use this because it's very expensive. So if you have a deficiency, let's just say a vitamin B, which a lot of women have with hair growth, you have a deficiency of a certain element back home, they're going to charge you. Here, they just hook your butt up to a machine, boom, and there it is. Same with oxygen chambers. LeBron James uses that back home. Here, it's on every corner. So if you have small cuts, you have wounds, you have sleeping disorders, they just put your butt in an oxygen chamber, which is like you going underwater, you're going way underwater, and it just rejuvenates you. So the women who have tummy tucks and those surgeries that would normally take 4 months of scarring to heal, they put them in them oxygen chambers, and in 3 weeks they looking back like they never had surgery. You can do that in countries that have more capital to invest than they have need for the equipment. So a lot of Colombians not getting these procedures done. These are Americans coming to get it because it's too expensive back home. So they can charge less money because they don't have 3 million of their people get it, if that makes sense. So the healthcare is top notch. They have 2 healthcare services. Again, they have one that you get, just for the basic Colombians, and then they have one for like a prepaid, like you pay extra, which is what I get. I pay 900 mil a month, which is like $220. I would say I pay like 180, like 180 bucks. But I can have a doctor come to the house. I can have anything I need, X-rays and stuff. They do it at the house, or I just call. I don't have to get referrals. So if I decide I want to get epidural, or I want to get my spine checked, I don't have to get referred from this to this to this. I just go straight to the specialist. So that's for 200. If I want to do it through Colombia, it's like $35. The $35 one went bankrupt, just like your wife said. Why? Because they had like 6 million people on it, and the company couldn't afford. So now they're looking for a whole new healthcare service for their Colombians. Us that pay the extra, that pay the 800, the private, so far they say we okay. But again, that's when you live in a foreign country, it's day by day. They can change that tomorrow. But the healthcare is exceptional. You have some of the, like I said, you have some of the most wealthiest people come in here to get certain treatments, again, because Colombia has some high-tech healthcare, very high-tech. That I will give. That I will give.
So, quick question, because people who don't travel don't always know. Now, people in the United States, they know like you can't drink the water in Mexico, right? The people who don't really travel don't necessarily know that they may not be able to drink water in the places they go. Like I worked in the Middle East, and I couldn't drink the water out of the faucet in Kuwait. We couldn't drink the water in Salinas. Well, you can drink the water here in Cuenca. We don't, but you can. You can smell the chlorine in it. Like it's good water. But how is it in Colombia? Or at least by your experience.
In Medellin, you can drink the water. Again, they have paid money over the years. Pablo Escobar and a bunch of people, good side and bad side, paid a lot of money for this city to be a little bit more modern than a lot of the other cities in Colombia. So in Medellin, yes. Antioquia, you can drink the water. Other parts of Colombia, no. It's just like Ecuador. Like Salinas, you cannot drink the water. So I tell people, just by nature, if you travel a lot, just don't drink the water. You know, if you,
Mhm.
it's easier to just buy bottled water than to go, oh, I'm in Medellin, I'm gonna drink it, but I'm only here a month. Then I'm going to Salinas. No, I can't. No, if you're gonna live somewhere and you can drink the water where you live, fine. But if you're gonna be traveling, just do bottled water. Because you won't make that mistake. Because drinking bad water, you don't want to. You don't even want to go.
Mm-mm.
You don't want that problem. You don't want that problem. If you can
No,
Mm.
avoid it.
not at
So
all.
No,
yeah,
sir.
Medellin's water is excellent. But yeah, we have more places than not that you cannot drink the water.
About like Colombia, they do seem to have it together for the most part. How do you feel about safety in the country? And I want to really know, like, in terms of what advice would you give newcomers?
Well, he did make a statement about, when you're traveling solo,
Yeah,
you should ask like what areas you should not go in, what areas you should stay in. So
right. And actions and you know how Americans can be. Like, what are some ways that they can stay safe?
Here's and like I said, just like on the last show we did when I talked about families and women traveling and how we have to use our American etiquette. For some reason, I don't know who the person who made it normal for you to act different traveling than you would in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, Detroit. For some reason, it's just, I don't know. People just assume that these other places are just safe just based on the fact they haven't been there. I haven't been here, so it's got to be safe. If I've been there, then I make the judgment of whether it's safe or not. So I tell most people, just act how you would act in Detroit. Even if you've never been to Detroit and you was taking a trip to Detroit, you would have a certain attitude. Not to put my city down, but I understand my city. And so does everybody else in the United States. And not just my city, Chicago, any of that Midwest. If you travel there, just automatically there's a different instinct that you're going to have. If you travel there as a couple, there's a different set of protection you're going to have for the person you with. When we travel to South America, for some reason, we assume that we can just whoop everybody in South America. There's nothing they can do to us in South America. Like, I don't know, we got a cape on our back, and that's the misconception. I tell people with nothing to lose fear nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the States, everybody got something to lose versus people in South America. You have nothing to lose. And so in Colombia, it is the safest place I've been in the places you're supposed to be. Let me say that again. In the places you're supposed to be, they are going to make sure you are protected. In the places you're not supposed to be, which is probably 90% of Medellin, you're on your own. And so it is a beautiful time if you are Moreno or Morena, which means people of color, because you're going to blend right in. So you're going to keep your mouth shut. They're not going to even know you don't speak Spanish. You're going to have an amazing time at the way these people act. Right now in Colombia, if I could turn my thing around, there's over 2 million lights. It's the city of lights for Christmas from December the 5th to January. The cars have lights on them rolling down the street. All the trees got a light, like the craziest thing you ever. So it's very inviting. You want to go and see this stuff. You want to go, but it's dangerous if you don't understand the protocol. You don't wear jewelry. You don't try to be flashy. You want to look just like you guys, just like you guys are looking. You could go anywhere in Medellin and not have a problem. The problem is we don't want to do that. We want to come here and act up, and then now you got a problem. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
the safety comes, like I say, the safety is just, as I would say, in Ecuador or anywhere else, if you understand your surroundings, and play it cool, and not try to, be boisterous and just be out,
Right.
Yeah, that's the advice we live by.
Yeah, we try to tell people there's no need to be flashy. There's no need to
Right.
have all your, why don't you try to blend in? If you don't see a lot of Ecuadorians, well, here we don't see a lot of Ecuadorians with flashy jewelry. We do see more in Cuenca than we did in.
Yeah, and it's usually, and if you do see somebody that's a little flashy, like that's somebody they're doing something fancy or they're going somewhere. It's like the women get made up, they got the heels on, like they're doing something, but it's not just walking around everywhere.
Right.
You can't. I say this all the time that like even in the States, even in my truck, whether I walked up to an ATM while I was in my vehicle, I was looking in my rear view, I was looking behind me.
Mm-hmm.
When I got my money, I snatched it, pulled up, and made sure, and then counted it after I moved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't stay
Like
there. Yeah.
this is common sense to me. Like, why don't people think that you shouldn't do that somewhere? We did it in Europe. We did the same thing in Europe. Paris, Italy, I mean, in Rome, it didn't matter. It was the same actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Trust
smart.
no
That's smart.
one.
That's probably why you didn't have any problems.
Right. So let me ask you this question. What is your favorite Colombian food?
Wow, it's horrible. So bad. So bad. Chicharrón, which is
Oh,
pork. It's like bacon. This
Yes,
is
sir.
this is from the devil. This is from the devil. This is unacceptable by any standard of life, but it just tastes amazing. Never had it in the States, and didn't have it until maybe the last 3 or 4 years in Colombia because I didn't know how to prepare it. I thought it was bacon, and you prepare it like bacon, it don't taste like bacon. And then once I learned how to prepare it, it just became just an excellent, quick throw together. So that I would say that's my favorite chicharron rice and beans. But again, Colombia has so many dishes. I mean, when you get into the fruits, to me, I like a lot of fruit. I like a lot of vegetables. And each province in Colombia grows a different fruit or vegetable that does something different for the body. So once you start experimenting with a lot of these different stuff, your taste buds and stuff start changing. You start liking different fruits that you probably never even seen before. So for me, it's about experimenting, like I say, to a limit. I don't eat any soup in Colombia. That's crazy because that's one of their hugest dishes. But my body just can't, for some reason, now. No, I'm good. But I try to experiment with some of the, like I say, with some of the different Latin cultures. Colombia has no flavor. They don't use spices here. So for a lot of people, it's bland. The food is bland in comparison to Peru and Mexico and stuff like that. So this is like the kindergarten for flavor. So Colombia, you would come here and be like, oh, okay, I can try a whole bunch of stuff because it's not overpowered. It's not overpowered with stuff. So yeah, my favorite would be chicharron, and then my second would be the different tilapia fish. I love the tilapia fish. Filet. I don't like I can't do a whole fish. I'm still a coward. The fillets, but something
I love
about the fish over here is different than the tilapia you get back home in Sam's Club. You know, so I love their fish. I love the fish and the chicharron. Those are my favorite, and the shrimp. Those three are my favorite.
That sounds good to me because I love chicharron.
he does love chicharron.
Let's see. Of the places that you've been in Colombia, what is your? I mean, I know you live in Medellin, but are there other places in Colombia that you really love?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Again, Medellin would just be my base. It's not a place that I could stay year after year after year and then never leave. Like I said, I couldn't see me a year without going to Salinas now because I love it. But there are other parts of Colombia as a whole, and then there are other parts of Medellin uh, that is just amazing. They got certain areas where you look in the water, you can see the bottom, and it just changes colors because the asphalt in the bottom of the lakes change. So you'll look at it, and it's clear, then it'll be blue, then it'll be red, then it'll be so it's just such wonders in their hills. They have a lot of indigenous people that do some weird things in their community to us, but to them, it's normal. One of them is they grow coffee. And so when we think of coffee, we think of soldiers or something that you just put in the canister, add water, that's it. They grow it and they use it for testosterone, for energy. So they'll take one of them beans, put it in their mouth, and it's like 10 energy drinks or 10, and they'll suck on this thing and they're working all day and building the village. So it's different parts of Colombia that you just, or like now with the Christmas, with the lights. They are so creative. You're thinking, what in the heck? Where did you put this light? And so they have tours that take you around Medellin where you can go in some of the poorest barrios, but you see some of the most creative things they've done with these light structures. So for me, like I said, there's not one place I would say this is where I'm living and I'm never moving. I like the adventure. And so I've been here 9 years and I don't think I've seen 15% of Medellin, let alone Colombia, because it's so vast. It's so huge. And there's a lot of places I wouldn't go without a guide or a tour, somebody to take me. So, and going with a lady is, you want some fellas or you want, because they don't, it's funny in South America, they don't carry protection like we do. So nobody's gonna have a gun, nobody's gonna have a knife, nobody's gonna have nothing but the bad guy and the police. So if you with your lady, especially a Colombian lady who's like 5 feet, 60 pounds, who's never balled up her fist in her life, because this is not their culture. They've never cursed, they've never fought, they never done none of that. And you run up on 3 or 4 Colombians, it's just a bad situation. So there's a lot of places you just wouldn't go as an American because you guys don't protect yourself like we do. It would be 3 or 4 of us going, 3 or 4 couples or 3 or 4 guys. Now we good. Here, now it's just you and your 3-foot girlfriend, and she's, come on, let's go visit my cousin. And no, I'm good. So yes, a lot of beautiful places that you just wouldn't see just because it's not home and it's not set up like that. If that makes any sense, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, it's a lot of places, man. Cartagena's beautiful. If you ever get it, it's like Salinas on steroids. So it's just like Salinas, but you add, 100,000 expats. You add all kind of stuff going on that ocean. I mean, it's a 24-hour party, but you can only do Cartagena for a weekend. Like you are like, okay,
right.
turn it down. I want Salinas, like turn it down. Barranquilla the same way. Choco, it's all black. It's the first place the black slaves came from. So Choco, they got their own food, their own culture. They have 2 fruits, chontaduro and maca, which do the same thing as Cialis, Viagra, times 50, because they don't use it for that. They use it to work and clean and do. But you bite on this orange, and it's a problem. It's a problem. So, some of these cultures are amazing. It's just amazing. And then, like I say, Choco's all black. I'm like light skinned there. Like it's crazy. It's like you went to Guinea or something. And it's a bunch of people speaking Spanish. Your roots, your heritage coming from Africa or Cuba. And I mean, it's just amazing. But again, you can only be there 2 or 3 days. It's 95 degrees there. So it's just so many places in Colombia that are just amazing, especially for people of color, because it's a very, same as Ecuador, a very chocolate country. It's a very chocolate caramel country.
So what is one of the biggest holidays in Medellin? Because like in Salinas, New Year's, I think was the biggest.
New Year, Christmas, and Easter.
Good question.
Easter, yeah.
And that's funny.
Those
because Colombia is such a, like I said, they have 40 holidays here. Stuff is closed more than it's open here if it's a government place. Christmas is from December the 5th to January 16th, because they celebrate from a Catholic every single person involved, every single issue. They're not celebrating giving gifts. They give gifts one day. And it's only like an hour ceremony. Everything else is about dinners, family gatherings. They sing songs, light candles. Like every day has a different theme. So I would say that Christmas season, that they stop working, and you go, wait a minute, you don't have money anyway. How you gonna start working? But money is so far down the list to them, and they only think day by day. They're not thinking savings, what's gonna happen next year. They're thinking, I got 100 mil pesos at the end of the day, we good. So in that mindset, Christmas is the longest time that they off, that they able to spend time with the family, go to their little fincas, which are rural areas where you can sleep like 30 of them. They go and just have a blast with just their family. That's a big, that's huge. Then what we call Valentine's Day, they call Love and Friendship Day. So everybody gets something. No matter whether it's your girlfriend, person next door, anybody walking, you got to stop. Love and friendship and hug. So coming from where we come from, where it's more special for that special person, Colombia's special person is Colombia. So you like what? Like Christmas, they tell you, everybody walking down the street is, where's my Christmas present? This is normal to them. So everybody you get something to. This is not a family thing. So it's from your security to the person at the grocery store and it's not money always. You can give them a cookie, you can give them but everybody's giving. Except to us Americans. We just like we got a money tree in the backyard. But you get caught up in their lifestyle, and it's not about mass. It's not about a lot. It's just about giving something, and it's fun. Like I said, you get into it, and you just get caught up. You just get caught up in it. So a lot of their holidays are different than ours because it actually has a meaning more than just money. So, like I said, on the Love and Friendship Day, the little boys give little girls flowers. So you see them all working down the street. Everybody got a flower. If it's a friend, you're supposed to give them a little present. So so that's a huge day for them because they know they're going to get something. And then their birthdays.
Right.
Birthdays in Colombia are different than back home. It's just a huge celebration. And like I said, it's not about the presents. It's about doing something. Where back home, after you're a kid, we really don't even think about the birthday other than somebody saying, like, it's not a big deal. In Colombia, yeah, you want your girl crying forever, or you want the guy just put his head down, don't wish him happy birthday. But that is like a huge insult. So yeah, birthday, Christmas, and Love and Friendship Day, I would say are the three biggest holidays in Colombia.
Okay.
For sure.
That's awesome.
What are 3 important tips that you would give someone for moving abroad? Not just Colombia, but just in general. What are 3 important tips you would give?
Wow. The first thing I would say is be healed. If you got any problems, baggage, anything from wherever you're coming from, whether it's not dealing with other individuals, you come out of a bad relationship, you got problems with your kids, problems with family members, where you don't, be healed as best as you can. Don't be a mess trying to go international with that mess. Don't take that mess international. And I say that very humbly because foreign people don't understand your mess. The States understands your mess. So, like I said, if you fractured, you broken, you're not healed from relationships, don't go try to get in a relationship with somebody from another country. Or even an American that lives in that country that's found peace and they found solemn, and then here you come with your mess. So I say number 1, be healed. Bring only good vibes if you go move international. I call international rebirth. You are rebirthing. Nobody know you. If you worked at McDonald's, you can tell them you was the manager at McDonald's. Like you can say whatever you want to say internationally. So be positive, enjoy, embrace that. Embrace that clean sheet of paper you got. That would be number 1. Number 2, I would say live your dream. If you're going to move international, if you're going to take that leap of faith, write a goal down, write a dream down. Now, I'm not I'm saying get a vision board. I'm not trying to be over dramatic. But I'm saying the reason you chose to leave was because you had a dream. Something made you leave what was comfortable to go somewhere that was uncomfortable. So if that's the case, live that to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? Don't. I would say don't be passive. International, go for it. Anywhere else you can't go for it because you can make mistakes internationally you can't make back home. You can blame it on I didn't know the language. Back home you can't blame it on nothing. So have fun. If you're a couple, really get to know each other. You can take it to a deeper level international because you ain't got nobody else to count on. If you single, find somebody. Find somebody, man, woman, kid, dog. Find somebody to take it to a deeper level. And last but not least, believe in something. Again, back home, it could be religion or whatever. And we kind of close in believing in something. I think that's why we have more mental health issues than anybody else, any other country. No matter what their situation, somehow they can hold it together. But back home, we can be billionaires and still losing, want to commit suicide. We can have rich kids and they still want to kill the parents. And I think that's because you don't believe in something. Again, I don't want to put something on that, but you can't do this. Ain't golf. This is a team sport when you go international. And so you got to have a strong belief, if it's even in your family, if it's in the person you with, if you meet, like I say, an expat that you can open up to, and you can tell them about, hey, this is going on, this ain't. But you got to believe in something. You got to have a diehard international that you may not need back home. But like I said, those would be my top three. And a lot of people, well, what about the money and this and that? You didn't travel international to make a million. If you didn't make a million where you live at, the odds of you making it international is far. You travel for something else. You see what I'm saying? And so let that be your number one. And then the money gonna come. The money's gonna come. So yeah, those would be my top three. Those would be my top three.
Okay. That's excellent. That was excellent advice. I'm sure that the people will appreciate that. Before we let you go, do you happen to have any questions or anything for us?
Oh, absolutely. I just got one. And again, I wish more people could, and I've said this before, I wish more people could tune in and listen to people that have done it and people that want to do it. And you have so many couples and people out there, coaches, relationship coaches and this and that, that want to do it, but in my sense, they haven't done it. You guys are a young Black couple that have a very unique story. And my thing would be the recipe for that looks like it's so complicated for the rest of the world. They can't find a person. They can't figure it out. They can't figure it out in their country, let alone travel. You know what I mean? The times when it's just you two and you got to depend on each other. I want to know in just three, and I would like to know, like I said, one from you, maybe two from the wife, or vice versa. What three ingredients would you say are the most important? And then just having a relationship, just having a relationship today and holding it together. Because, we know it ain't all good times. We know it ain't all bad times. But what would be the three most important things that you would say? If you did these three, you would have a running start. I mean, it ain't it, but these three would at least, get you off to a good start. Like I said, handsome man, beautiful woman, this is the right dynamic that people would go, how did they do it?
You want me to start? Okay. For me, number one, you have to like this person. Love ain't got nothing to do with it. You have to like the person you are with, and because I love him. You know what I'm saying? I love him. But to be in another country and seeing him 24/7, I have to like him. Because the thing is, we get on each other's nerves, but we don't get on each other nerves to the point where I'm like, I'm ready to leave.
Yeah, like I don't like her anymore.
I don't like you anymore. Don't look my way. I can't stand you. It's none of that. We have our disagreements, and then we laugh at some of our disagreements. Like, are you mad at that? Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a cousin. It's like a cousin that you have that you love them. You'll fight somebody for them, but you don't necessarily like them. You don't like necessarily being around them. That's when it's not going to work,
right?
As a relationship. Did you have another one?
That was my first one.
Well, I got mine is patience. Like patience enough to know that it's worth it. So I know that no matter how frustrated we might get with each other every once in a while, we've been together 27 years. So if you try to tell me we ain't gonna argue, that's you're crazy.
Right.
Patience enough to know that she's worth it no matter how mad I get.
Same here.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's and I don't want to use the old saying, it was cheaper to keep her, because that's short selling it. It's more than just it's cheaper to keep her. It's better to keep her, and in my opinion. Because if you know you got somebody that's worth keeping, arguments aren't going to rip y'all apart.
Right.
If you don't know that, then the argument can rip y'all apart.
Right. And patience, I mean, one of y'all have to have patience. I have very little patience. He has a lot of patience. So he puts up with me and my BS.
She put up with mine too.
And but the thing is, ain't nobody's gonna come to me and say some shit about him. Excuse me. You know, I'm the one who can say whatever, but you're not gonna say
Same.
about him.
Yeah.
Right. No, I love it. I
Okay.
love it.
You got another one?
I love it.
Yeah. You got your last one?
No, go ahead.
No, I didn't. That was
okay.
mine.
So
yeah.
we got one more. He said 3. At my worst, I know he got me.
Yeah.
Right.
At my worst,
amen.
I know he got me.
Yeah.
And I know I don't want to put him in a situation, and I know he don't want to put me in a situation. So I know I'm good no matter where I go with him.
Right.
I know he got me.
Right.
Same. Yeah.
Right. No, I love that. I love that. I think people need to hear that.
You have to know that for me to get on the back of a scooter, and he had never driven a scooter, I know he won.
Yeah. And I know I ain't getting on the back of the scooter with her. We know our lane.
Amazing.
We know our lane, and we stay in it.
But I can tell you right now.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If he got sick, he getting on the back of that scooter, and I'm gonna drive down the street, and we're gonna get to where we need to get to.
We got helmets.
No, I love it. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, anytime you guys need me, I enjoy doing these. I hope to see you guys up in you guys as part of the woods next time I come to Ecuador. And again, come on to Colombia. You got to come check it out. We right next door. We neighbors. So it's not like you going a long way. It's right next door. You ain't got to pay for nothing. I think I got like 3-4 rooms in here, and it's just me. So
okay,
just let me know when you're at the airport. That's it. Just let me know when you're at the airport. So,
it was so good to see you, Will. I'm sad I didn't get to see you in Salinas before we left, because we definitely love hanging out with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. It's been fun.
For anybody watching, Will, if you want to plug your the international, I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
Oh, Men's International Boot Camp. International Boot Camp. Just go to Google, hit Men's International Boot Camp. We the first, only thing to come up. We'd love to see you guys come to Colombia, give you a great experience in terms of just learning some values, learning some different things that you may not be privy to, in your endeavors. And so we're here to help. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. So for everyone watching, if you like the video, hit the like button, share this video with anybody you know, especially any men, young men, women who might be interested in traveling abroad to Colombia, to Ecuador, so they can get some info. Share this video, and we really appreciate it.
And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll be back.
Thanks a lot, Will. We're going to see you soon.
All right. See you guys soon.
All right.